All right, so today we're going to take a deep dive into the Chime Credit Builder Secured Visa Credit Card.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe you're listening to this because you're new to credit. Maybe you want to rebuild your score or just want to learn more. And,
Yeah.
we pulled all the information straight from Chime's website about this card. And I got to
Wow.
say, some of these features really jumped out at me. There's no credit check, no annual fee, and no interest.
Yeah, it sounds pretty appealing, right? Especially when you think about all the fees and interest that can add up with other cards.
Right.
But let's break down how this card actually works. Understanding, the details is really important when you're making any financial decision.
Absolutely. So first things first, can you explain what a secured credit card even is? Like, how is it different from the regular credit cards we see advertised everywhere?
Yeah, so with a secured credit card, you basically put down a security deposit. It's like a safeguard for the lender. And then your credit limit is usually equal to that deposit. So if you miss a payment, the lender can use that deposit to cover the debt. This makes it lower risk for them.
Makes sense.
And for you, it helps you build credit even if you don't have any credit history yet.
So it's kind of like a win-win, right?
Exactly.
Okay, and what about this specific Chime Credit Builder card? What makes it different from other secured cards?
Well, one thing that's really interesting is that Chime doesn't require a minimum security deposit to get started.
Oh, wow.
So it's really accessible, even if you don't have a lot of money to put down up front.
Yeah, most secured cards I've seen want you to put down a pretty big chunk of change.
Right, exactly.
So even with a smaller deposit, you're still building your credit score, right?
Oh, absolutely. And this is where it gets kind of cool. Chime reports your payment activity to all three major credit bureaus,
Which are?
TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax.
Got it.
So every on-time payment you make is tracked and helps boost your credit score.
So it's not just about getting practice using credit. You're actually building a real credit history. Okay, and then there's that no credit check thing. How does that work?
That's a big plus if you're new to credit or have had some issues in the past.
Yeah.
Basically, it means you can get approved for the car without them looking at your old credit mistakes.
So it's like a fresh start.
Exactly.
That's got to be such a relief for people who are trying to rebuild their credit. And let's not forget, there's no annual fee and no interest on this card.
Yeah, that's huge. It really helps you avoid those compounding interest charges that can get out of control so quickly.
It's like they designed this card specifically to help people avoid getting into debt.
Yeah, it's a very different approach to credit building.
I like it.
And there's more. Chime also doesn't report your credit utilization to the bureaus.
Okay, wait. What does that even mean? What's credit utilization?
Sure. So credit utilization is basically how much of your available credit you're using. For example, if you have a credit limit of $1,000 and you spend $500, your credit utilization is 50%. And usually keeping that percentage low is good for your credit score. It shows lenders that you're not maxing out your cards.
Got it.
But since Chime doesn't report this for the credit builder card, it means that your spending habits on this card won't hurt your score.
So even if I use a lot of my available credit on this card, it's not going to impact my overall credit score.
Exactly.
Interesting. So it's like a little bit of a safety net while you're figuring things out.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Okay, well, this is already a lot to process. What else should we know about this Chime Credit Builder card?
Well, one feature that really stands out is their, what do they call it? Safer credit building
Yeah.
option, I think.
Uh,
It's designed to help you avoid late fees and, keep your credit score on track.
Yeah, that sounds like something I could use. How does it work?
So every time you make a purchase with the card, the amount you spend is automatically set aside in your secured account.
Okay.
And then when your payment is due, Chime automatically takes that money out of your secured account and makes the payment for you.
So you never miss a payment.
Right. That's pretty slick.
It really takes the guesswork out of it.
Yeah, and it makes it really user-friendly, especially for people who are new to credit.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not just about being easy to use, right? This card also has all the same functions as a regular credit card, right?
Yeah, for sure. You can use it online, in stores,
Mm.
and even to withdraw cash from ATMs.
Wait, hold on. Did you say ATMs?
Yeah.
And there are no fees.
Well, they have a huge network of fee-free ATMs, over 60,000 across the country.
Wow.
So you should be able to find one pretty easily.
And this card also works with SpotMe, right?
Yes, if you have a Chime checking account.
For people who aren't familiar with Chime, can you explain what SpotMe is?
Sure, so SpotMe is basically overdraft protection. It lets you overdraw your account up to a certain limit without getting hit with those crazy overdraft fees.
Oh, so it gives you a little wiggle room if you need it.
Exactly.
That's nice. It sounds like Chime really thought about all the ways people can get tripped up with credit cards. Yeah, they definitely put a lot of thought into making this card as user-friendly as possible.
So this card seems like it's packed with all these features to make building credit easier and less stressful.
Yeah, it really does. But, it's important to remember that no one financial product is perfect for everyone.
That's a good point. So are there any downsides to the Chime Credit Builder Card that we should be aware of?
Well, one thing to keep in mind is that it's tied to a Chime checking account,
Okay.
which, is great if you already bank with Chime, but it means you can't transfer funds into the secured account from another bank.
So if someone isn't willing to switch to Chime, this card might not be the best fit for them.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. Are there any other alternatives to the Chime Credit Builder Card that people might want to consider?
Oh, yeah, for sure. There are a lot of other secured credit cards out there.
Okay.
Some of them might have different features or be better suited for certain goals.
Like what?
Well, some secured cards will let you upgrade to a regular unsecured card after you've used it responsibly for a while.
Oh, that's cool. And some cards offer rewards programs or other perks that you won't get with the Chime card.
So it really comes down to doing your research and figuring out what works best for you.
Exactly.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about how the Chime Credit Builder Card works, its unique features, and even some potential drawbacks. But what's the takeaway for our listeners? What's the so what of all this information?
That's a great question. Ultimately, the decision of whether to get the Chime Credit Builder Card or any credit card really depends on your own situation and your financial goals.
So for our listeners out there, what are some things they should think about when considering this card?
Well, if you're new to credit or haven't built much credit yet, this card is a pretty low-risk way to get started. No credit check, flexible deposit requirements. It's very beginner-friendly.
And it has those safety features like safer credit building and Spot Me.
Exactly. But you should also think about the limitations, like needing a Chime checking account.
And it might not be the best long-term option if you eventually want a regular credit card with more features.
So it's all about weighing the pros and cons
Yeah,
and making a decision that works for you.
exactly.
All right. And for our listeners who are interested in learning more about the Chime Credit Builder Card, what should they do? I'd say head over to Chime's website. They've got a ton of info about the Credit Builder Card. Details about all the features we talked about, FAQs, even customer reviews. It's always good to see what other people are saying, right?
Yeah, definitely. Reading reviews from different sources can give you a better idea of the pros and cons. You can also compare the Chime card to other secured cards out there to see, how it stacks up in terms of fees, features, credit building potential.
Yeah, good point. There are a lot of resources online to help you make a smart decision. And if you've already tried out the Chime Credit Builder Card, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, definitely. Let us know what you think. What have you found most helpful? Are there any features that could be improved?
It's all about sharing information and helping each other out, especially when it comes to something as important as personal finance. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the Chime Credit Builder Secured Visa Credit Card, let's leave our listeners with one final thought.
If you're working on building or rebuilding your credit, just remember, it's a journey. It takes time and effort.
There will be bumps along the way for sure, but if you do your research and make smart choices, you could definitely reach your goals.
And who knows, maybe the Chime Credit Builder Card will be the tool that helps you get there.
That's a great way to put it.
Mm.
Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep striving for financial well-being. And, maybe reach out to some folks who've used the card.
Yeah, good idea.
You find people in online forums or communities, get their firsthand perspective.
Exactly.
Real-life experiences are always valuable.
Right. Well, I think we've covered just about everything there is to know about the Chime Credit Builder Secured Visa Credit Card.
Yeah, I think so.
We've talked about how it works, the features, the pros and cons.
It's a pretty unique card. It really is. So as we wrap up our deep dive, any final thoughts for our listeners?
Building credit can be a challenge. It's not always easy.
Yeah, there are definitely ups and downs.
But the important thing is to stay focused on your goals.
Right.
And to make responsible choices along the way.
And to celebrate the small wins.
Absolutely.
Keep learning, keep exploring, and keep striving for financial well-being.
Great advice.
That's all for this episode of The Deep Dive. We'll catch you next time.